1 minute to air. The live stream has started.
Birthday today. Today is the birthday. I need to email her. Yeah, yesterday was the birthday. I don't have it in me to call. Why not? If I call, it's going to be a 30-minute conversation. I don't have time. I have a
30 seconds.
Oh, yeah,
Good evening, Durham, North Carolina, Bull City. Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday to all of those who are joining us virtually and to all who are in the audience. We have a full house tonight to do the people's business, and we are glad to be in this space at 101 City Hall Plaza in our council chambers. We're all in our places with our bright and smiling faces this evening. We welcome you to
Recording in progress.
City Council meeting Monday, June 6, 2020 at 7 p.m. We have a full agenda tonight, and the first order of business would be for us to have a moment of silent meditation. Think about being kind to each other tonight. Thank you all for that. We now ask our Councilwoman Freeman if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It is your practice to do so, and join us and stand for the flag, Pledge of Allegiance.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Mayor O'Neill,
I am present.
Mayor Pro Tempore Middleton,
I'm here.
Councilmember Caballero,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Present.
Councilmember Hyman,
Present.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
We have 4 ceremonial items tonight, and we will take them in the following order. The Pauly Murray Center Day Proclamation, the Men's Health Month Proclamation, Tourette Syndrome Awareness Day Proclamation, and Kindness Month. And we will start with Councilwoman Johnson, who will read our Pauly Murray Center Day Proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. It's my honor to read this proclamation in honor of Pauly Murray. Whereas Pauly Murray was born in 1910 and grew up in Durham as part of a prominent African-American family, including brothers Robert and Richard Fitzgerald and longtime Durham public school teacher Pauline Fitzgerald Dame. And whereas Pauly Murray became a nationally known historian, educator, lawyer, poet, and activist who demonstrated courage in their lifelong struggle for justice for African Americans, women, and members of the LGBT+ community. And whereas Pauly Murray was an acclaimed author of Proud Shoes, The Story of an American Family, which offers an unprecedented description of early Durham and the Fitzgerald family. And whereas Pauly Murray was a founder of the National Organization for Women and coined the term Jane Crow in recognition of the interrelated discrimination faced by Black women. And whereas Pauly Murray was the first Black woman to be ordained an Episcopal priest. And whereas Pauly Murray's legacy has inspired the Pauly Murray Center for History and Social Justice to be established to lift up Murray's life and legacy of human rights activism and preserve the family home, now designated a National Historic Landmark. Now therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June 18th, 2022 as Pauly Murray Center Day in Durham, and hereby commend its observance to all residents. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this the 6th day of June, 2022. And I'll be presenting the proclamation to Barbara Lau, the Executive Director of the Pauly Murray Center.
Thank you all so much, and we'd like to invite all of you to the Pauly Murray Center anniversary on June 18th at our site, 906 Carroll Street, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
I was invited to offer an encouragement on why we should celebrate Pauly Murray in Durham. I talk a lot about preserving culture. We don't want to just preserve the culture, we want to perpetuate the right kind of culture. And Pauly Murray is someone who continues to not only inspire me and encourage me, but challenge me to tell the truth, to face the truth, and to use the truth to be creative. So I'm hopeful that you all will join us. As Barbara mentioned, June 18th on Saturday, we'll be celebrating all day, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we're so grateful to have the legacy of Pauly in Durham to champion preserving culture and perpetuating that culture as well. Thank you.
Good evening. I wish to extend profound thanks to Her Honor the Mayor for allowing us to share in the coolest prerogative of her office, one of them, and that is reading these proclamations. I'm very honored tonight to read a proclamation for Men's Health Month. I'm going to ask is Mr. Elbert Dorsey is in the chamber if he would join me. Hey, bro. See. Proclamation for Men's Health Month. Whereas, despite advances in medical technology and research, men continue to live an average of 5 years less than women, with Native American and African American men having the lowest life expectancy. And whereas COVID-19 variants continue to spread across the country, with the Centers for Disease Control reporting that males are more likely to die from this pandemic, encouraging safe behaviors including social distancing, wearing masks, and being vaccinated will help stop the spread of COVID-19. And whereas educating the public and healthcare providers about the importance of a healthy lifestyle and early detection of male health problems will result in reducing the rates of mortality from disease. And whereas men who are educated about the value that preventative health care can play in prolonging their lifespan and their role as productive family members will be more likely to participate in health screenings. Fathers who stay connected to their children and maintain a healthy lifestyle are role models with happier, healthier children. And whereas the National Men's Health Awareness Period is a special campaign to help educate men, boys, and their families about the importance of positive health attitudes and preventative health practices. And whereas Durham's Men's Health Month focuses on a broad range of men's health issues, including heart disease, mental health, diabetes, and prostate, testicular, and colon cancer. And whereas the residents of this city are encouraged to increase awareness of the importance of a healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, and medical checkups. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2022 as Men's Health Month in Durham and encourage all residents to pursue preventative health practices and early detection efforts throughout the year. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this, the 6th day of June, 2022. Mr. Cole.
Good evening. Again, my name is Elbert Dorsey, and I'm proud to be here. Thank you so much for this proclamation. I'm chairman of the Men's Health Council that's sponsored by the Durham County Public Health. Our group is here. We have several of our members here. It's about 50 of us, but I would like for them to stand first, please. And we also... I would also like to give our sponsor, the Director of Public Health, the good brother Jenkins here. I'd like for him to be recognized. And also for Joyce Page, who is our coordinator, who established this program back in 2014. So on behalf of the officers and members of the Men's Health Council, thank you for this proclamation for men's health. There's a tremendous health disparity in our country. African American men suffer the worst health of any racial group in America. They have the lowest life expectancy and the highest death rate for specific causes of all other racial and ethnic groups. The council members represented are by from numerous backgrounds. We share a common mission to educate, inspire, and lead men to lead their best lives to reduce existing health disparities. We're fortunate to have a council who has been involved with over 50 health forums and conferences. We partner with health institutions, fraternal groups, crime prevention organizations, veteran groups, churches, senior living residents, Housing Authority, the Durham Parks and Recreation, the Durham Police Department, North Carolina Central University, Duke University, and naval associations. We also have covered about 2,000 miles doing community walks on a monthly basis. And I will pass and leave some information here that will give you all our next walk, which is on the 18th of June, and would like for you all to participate if you would. We're here to recruit African Americans to participate in research studies in which Black men and women are historically unrepresented. Volunteered at health screenings and health awareness events as the one we just got involved with this past weekend at Lincoln and at Duke for colon cancer. Trained to be leaders and subsequent lead over 30 evidence-based disease management workshops, and we've awarded scholarships to 2 graduating seniors active in our council. We are recruiting young men from high school during their sophomore years to be with us for their next 3 or 4 years so that we can give them information about how important it is for them to be thinking about their health at an early age. In closing, I invite everyone to join us on Saturday, as I mentioned, June 18th, at Northgate Park from 9 to 10 for our annual Men's Health Walk. The walk will be led by Jeff Ford of the city's Parks and Recreation Departments, and copies of the announcements I'll leave here with you all. Again, thank you for recognizing the council and getting to know more about us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I would ask if our Public Health Director, Mr. Rod Jenkins, would come. I did forewarn him that I was going to ask him, since he's here tonight, to give us a brief update on COVID in Durham, North Carolina. If you would allow us to take a moment to do that so that he can continue on with his evening.
Just for you, Mayor O'Neill, just for you. Good evening, everyone. To Mayor O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, my man with those beautiful bow ties, and the rest of the council, I thank you all for having us. Thank you for bestowing this special honor on the Men's Council, a very special group led by a special woman in Joyce Page. Just know that we're monitoring COVID-19 very closely, as we've been doing all along. Our case rates have fluctuated within the past couple of weeks, and the ironic thing about it is case rates have been going down, and they were going down for the past 2 weeks but then we became a little bit higher in our hospitalizations. So as a direct result, we went from that yellow to orange. Nevertheless, I know that for the most part, I've been a little under fire because everyone wants us to reinstitute indoor mask mandates. However, I know that Durham is a very informed, well-educated community. And we've been in this pandemic moment for well over 2.5 years. You all know what to do. You all know what to do. You know how to follow the guidance of the CDC, and we certainly admonish you to do that. But again, I have committed to Mayor O'Neill and Chair Brenda Howerton that when my team of epidemiologists and data scientists tell me, hey, Mr. Jenkins, it's getting a little bit bad out there, we certainly need for you to have those conversations. I have assured leadership at the city and the county that I will do just that. But we do have some good news, and I'll be real brief. COVID booster shots are approved for kids as young as 5 years old and up. And we're offering these shots at our clinics. That is reason to clap. These shots are available. We are fully staffed and we're ready to go. But in sum, I just admonish this listening audience to do a couple of things. Normalize yourself. We know that COVID-19 is not going anywhere. So you need to really stay prepared. These waves are going to come, so you need to make sure that you're prepared and ready, just like you would do for a weather event. We know that vaccinations and boosters are the surefire way to continue to get us out of this COVID experience, but we still need more people to get vaccinated. We need a lot more people to get boosted. And we certainly have other tools, including therapeutics, that will help us to fight this fight. But nevertheless, Durham Public Health remains on the ready. Thank you for this opportunity to really speak to COVID-19, and happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. We appreciate all that you do for Durham County. Thank you so much, and thank you for all of the gentlemen who came tonight. Bull City strong, always.
Thank you, Mayor O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and my team, our team, city council members. Good evening. Good evening to the Durham residents, the advocates. I love it. I like to see this. I am your new city councilwoman, Monique Hosley-Hyman, and this is my first time that I will be reading a proclamation. So I will be reading the proclamation for Terrex syndrome. Whereas Tourette syndrome is an inherited neurological disorder characterized by involuntary motor and vocal tics, and whereas Tourette syndrome is often accompanied by mental health disorders such as ADHD, OCD, learning disabilities, and anxiety, and whereas Tourette syndrome and tics disorder affect 1 in 100 children. More than 22,800 school-aged children in the state of North Carolina are dealing with Tourette syndrome. And although some of these cases are aided by medication, there is no standard treatment or known cure for this disorder. And whereas there is an important need for more professional help and interest and expertise, and to identify counsel and treatment for people with Tourette syndrome, a disorder that is often misdiagnosed and misunderstood. And whereas positive actions to assist children and families living with Tourette syndrome would result from a broadening of public and professional knowledge and acceptance of Tourette syndrome, and whereas Tourette Association's Greater Carolina Group is actively providing service to families, educational law enforcement, and educators, and supporting efforts to better understand the signs and the treatment of Tourette syndrome. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June 4th, 2022 as Tourette Syndrome Awareness Day in Durham, and hereby encourage understanding, compassion, and acceptance for all of the residents who deserve and need support to break the stigma that surrounds Tourette syndrome. Witnesses by my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this 24th day of May 2022, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor. Is our Are they here? Okay. Well, we will keep our.
Catherine. One.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How are you?
I'm going to be honest here. I feel kind of unprepared with everything that everybody else has been saying. I wrote like one paragraph. Okay. So as Durham,
I totally understand.
As Durham presents June 4th as Tourette Syndrome Awareness Day, I'd like to say a few words as to why I think it's so important that we have more awareness for Tourette syndrome. Having a disability, especially being a young person who has a disability, it's such a lonely experience, especially when you have something like Tourette syndrome, which is so stigmatized, so stereotyped. It often leads to social isolation for many people, and feeling alone, not having many friends, and things like that. You can often feel like nobody understands you and like you're never really going to fit in. Your increased awareness will lead to our increased acceptance, and I think that is so important for so many people. So thank you so much to the City of Durham for doing this. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Good evening, Bull City. Last but not least, greetings to you all tonight. During my State of the City address, I welcome all of Durham to get more engaged with our city. I shared the story of my grandmother, Cora O'Neill, who on the West End community taught young girls in our neighborhood how to quilt and to bridge generational gaps and to bring our community closer together. She cared for young people and she showed us kindness. Just last week, I was at the season opener of the Durham Triple Play League. That's a baseball little league organization started by Miss Pat James, a Durham mother who wanted to continue giving young men the opportunity to play in a summer baseball league after the program was canceled. She has served her community well, thousands of young men. She's shown them kindness. So, and over the last 3 years, you know, we as a city, as a state, we've experienced many things that could really leave us disheartened from the global pandemic that we're still dealing with, that has killed millions of people, to the violence that plagues our own city, our county, our state, our nation, our country, our world, to supply shortages across industries and economic uncertainty. But, you know, we are still resilient and we still remain hopeful. One of the things that has bothered me since I've become mayor, though, I have to be honest, that I was not ready for, is sometimes the sheer meanness of people. I've been called everything from a piece of S to being insane, to people waking up early in the morning, letting vitriol out on the internet. And that's not just happened to me, but it's happened to our colleagues, my colleagues as well. And more importantly than that, and sad, is that it's not only happening for these elected officials, but when I went to a mayor's conference this last week, this past weekend, at the mayor's only meeting, the mayors were talking about how people are really just mean, where they have been threatened. And that part of the event got the most applause from all of the mayors about how people are treating public servants. And then when I turn and I think about all our city employees who work really, really hard, and some of the things that have happened to them from people on my watch has led me to declare that we have to fight back against meanness and nastiness. You can be, as Dr. Monique said, you can disagree, but you don't have to be disagreeable. And so I am declaring May, June, and July kindness months in Durham, because the only thing that kills hate is love. The only thing that negates meanness is kindness. And I think we just have to be intentional about being kind to each other. We're not supposed to all agree. We're all supposed to have a voice, but that voice doesn't have to have a prick to it. It doesn't have to stick you. It doesn't have to hurt. And so I'm asking that we all think about that we are intentional about giving a stranger a smile, that we go out of our way to think about how we can be kind to each other. Durham is an open and loving and inviting community. We welcome all people and we celebrate our diversity that has divided other communities. Kindness is contagious. And if we spread it around Durham, we spread it in our own neighborhood, in our own homes, even if we spread it to ourselves, we can continue to build together and make Durham a better place for generations to come. We have to combat this nastiness that has permeated all walks of our life, and we have to be intentional about that. In life, we make many decisions, and some of them we will leave wishing we made a better decision, a different choice. But choosing kindness is something we will never, ever regret. So let's spread it during the months of June and July, and thereafter, in honor of that W.G. Pearson class that I spoke to, who gave me that idea, each month we will have a virtue that we will talk about, from patience, faith, grace, joy, peace, in honor of that little class, those classrooms that taught me that we still can learn something very basic every day, that it never gets old. So whereas our daily lives are filled with information regarding crime, violence, and disaster, often causing feelings of helplessness, and whereas the many daily acts of kindness that occur in our community are largely inconspicuous and unobtrusive, and by recognizing these acts of kindness, all members of our community will be made aware of the importance of being kind to each other throughout the year. And whereas the purpose of Kindness Months is to remember the simple day-to-day acts of kindness that enable Durham to be a kinder, safer, and more secure place to live, work, and play. And whereas the city of Durham honors those, no matter how young or old, who make a positive difference in our community and our world. Now, therefore, I, Elaine O'Neill, Mayor of the city of Durham, the best city in the United States of America, do hereby proclaim the months of June and July 2022 as Kindness Months in Durham. And I hereby urge all residents to participate in spreading kindness and practicing respect, generosity, patience, and consideration of others at all times. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the city of Durham. This, I signed it on the 25th day of May. I would like to take the opportunity to dedicate this to the people that I think are the hardest working people and who represent the hardest working people in the city. My colleagues on the city council, Attorney Kim Rayberg and her staff, City Manager Wanda Page and her staff, along with all her deputy city managers, our clerk, Diana Schreiber, and her staff, and I would ask Ms. Bertha Johnson to receive this on the behalf of all those employees who work really, really hard. And I know she's looking really, really shy, because she's always really, really shy. But tonight, I put her on the spot for being kind.
Thank you, Mayor O'Neill. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We now turn to our announcements, and I do have one announcement tonight. June is also LGBTQIA plus Pride Month, and we give a shout out to everybody on behalf of Gay Pride Month in Durham, North Carolina. All right, and I will turn it over now to any other announcements from my colleagues. That is your opinion, and you are certainly entitled to it. And so here we go. And Ms. Peterson, we are not going to do right about that. Right now. We will celebrate Pride Month. Yes.
Mrs. Peterson, you're out of order, ma'am. You're out of order.
So we're going to ask you if you need to say comments that you not do them at this time. Thank you. All right. Now, anybody else have any announcements?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you. Happy Pride, everyone. I just wanted to, we had a quick comment from our public health director about the COVID situation here in Durham, but I just wanted to also say a few words about our current high status and the CDC recommendations for communities where the COVID-19 level is high. The CDC recommends that we wear a well-fitting mask indoors in public, regardless of vaccination status, including in schools and other indoor community settings. And that if anyone who is immunocompromised or high risk for severe disease, wear a mask or respirator that provides you with greater protection. Consider avoiding non-essential indoor activities in public where you could be exposed. Talk to your healthcare provider about whether you need to wear a mask and take other precautions, including testing. Have a plan for rapid testing if needed, including access to home tests. And those are still available online through the post office. If you haven't already gotten your free COVID tests, you can go online and order those. And to talk to your healthcare provider about whether you're a candidate for oral treatments like oral antivirals or monoclonal antibodies. If you have household or social contact with someone at high risk for severe disease, consider self-testing to detect infection before contact, and consider wearing a mask when indoors with them. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccines and boosters. Maintain improved ventilation throughout indoor spaces when possible, and follow CDC recommendations for isolation and quarantine, including getting tested if you are exposed to COVID-19 or have symptoms of COVID-19. I just wanted to read those out loud for the community so that anyone who had questions about what the CDC recommendations are for our current status would hear that. And I want to thank everybody who's taking the proper precautions to get our numbers back down and keep all of our community members safe. Feel free to go by the health department anytime for your shots or your boosters. And we're all in this together, so let's take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson. We'll turn it over to Councilwoman Hyman.
Getting used to this mic. I'd just like to say this week I had the opportunity to be invited to Hillside for their civic action presentations and proposals. And it was amazing to see the wonderful work that the youth were doing. And they actually talked about 3 areas. They all had to come up with areas and things that they felt that really affected Durham. And the prominent areas was number 1, gun violence, 2, educational needs, more money for education in schools, and also mental health services. And a lot of the young people that I talked about are really struggling with just needing someone to talk to about different things. And so I just wanted to do a shout out to Mr. Riley and to that 11th and 12th grade that are doing wonderful things. And we need to continue to embrace positivity and uplift when we do see things that are doing well. And one of the other things that I wanted to say is that one of the reasons why I love Durham is because of diversity. Thank you.
Looking to my right now. Any colleagues have any announcements on this end? Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also just want to make sure I do take a moment and share. I had the privilege of joining our mayor at the 90th Conference of Mayor, and I want to say that it is truly an inspiring opportunity to hear from so many mayors from across the country who are trying to do the work in our cities, and I can appreciate our mayor saying that kindness is key. And I I think that just going a little bit further and acknowledging that there's, through the pandemic, through all the gun violence, the violence in general, how we manage to come together and come up with solutions for our city will matter. I do want to say that I've been disheartened, and I feel a kind of renewal and thinking through how we move forward. And I would like to say that there's issues around climate change, there's issues around, like I said, gun violence, there's issues around just everyday living and the sacrifices that folks are making. The fact that there are so many women who have left the workforce is alarming for me, and I don't know how, but I intend to spend the next couple of months trying to figure out how we can address it, knowing that the daycare centers are closing, and you know, many of the folks who we see harmed the most in this are often who is harmed on a regular basis. I'll leave it at that. But I know that the solutions will come for our community, and so I do want to encourage folks again, as I have in the past, to continue to share your ideas, to continue to share your input, but to continue to also keep in mind that we are all neighbors and that kindness is a value. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson. We had a great time. It was a lot of learning that we did. Thank you so much. Anyone else? All right. We will now recognize our city manager. I'm sorry.
Just real quick, I just wanted to thank the Covenant Church and all of the other congregations who invited me out, with Councilmember Hyman and County Commissioner Chair Brenda Howardson and Satana DeBerry. We spoke deeply about the issues in Durham around gun violence and some of the things that are, periling our community. And I'm just excited to be amongst a working group rather than just, continuing to just talk about it. So I just wanted to thank them for that, and all of the congregations and the rainbow of, skin colors that were there to work together on this issue. So thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. I will now recognize our city manager for any priority items she may have.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the Durham City Council. I have 2 priority items for you this evening. Agenda item number 13, which is fiscal year 2022-23, third quarter financial report. A presentation was made at the May 19th, 2022 work session. And agenda item number 33, 2022 first quarter crime report. A presentation was made at the May 19th, 2022 work session, and attachment number 5 was added to address questions during the presentation. That is all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, City Manager Page. I will now recognize our city attorney for any priority items she may have. Attorney Rayburn.
Good evening, Mayor O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and members of the City Council. The City Attorney's Office has no priority items tonight.
Thank you so much. I will now recognize our city clerk, Donna Schreiber, for any priority items she may have.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and council members. The City Clerk's Office has no priority items this evening.
Thank you so much. Our next order of business is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of items that the council has previously considered in a work session. All items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single vote of the council. Items may be removed from the council agenda, from the consent agenda, by a council member or a member of the public, and those items will be considered separately at the end of the meeting tonight. I'm going to read into the record the title of each consent agenda item. Item number 1, approval of city council minutes. Number 2, audit services oversight committee appointment. Item 3, the board of adjustment appointments. Number 4, the citizens advisory committee appointments. 5, Durham City County Environmental Affairs Board appointments. 6, the Durham Cultural Advisory Board appointments. Number 8, the Durham Performing Arts Center Oversight Committee appointment. 9, the Durham Planning Commission appointments. 10, the Mayor's Council for Women reappointments. 11, Participatory Budgeting Steering Committee reappointment. 12, Economic Incentives Performance Audit, April 2022. Item 13, FY 2022 through 23 third quarter financial report. 14, the interlocal agreement for the distribution of sales tax between the City of Durham and Durham County. Number 15, the North Carolina Records Retention and Disposition Schedules 2021, Substantive Changes. Item 16 will be pulled. Approval of Amendment Number 1 to Contract 18597 for Legal Aid of North Carolina, LANC, to administer the Emergency Rental Assistance 2 program. Item 17, contract with Fulcher, Fulcher Electric, for the construction of NCDOT-owned traffic signals in Durham. Item 18, the ordinance to change civil penalties for parking violations. Item 19, the ordinance to change parking fees. Item 20, the award of a services contract to Hydromax USA LLC for the Sewer Outfall Inspection Program North Project. Item 22, ordinance amending Chapter 70, Article 7 of the City of Durham Code of Ordinances, which regulates cross-connection control. Item 23, water distribution system study, hydraulic model update, and Western Intake Partners discharge analysis award to McKim and Creed Incorporated. Item 24, the annual insurance plan FY23. Item 25, April 2022 bid report. Item 26, I believe will be pulled.
Yes, ma'am.
FY 2021 through 22 capital improvements project CIP budget amendment project closeout. Item 27, resolution for limited obligation bond series 2022. 28, cooperative group purchase contract 1 fire rescue truck. Item 29, cooperative group purchase contract 1 mid-mount aerial platform fire truck. Item 30, 2022 Durham Environmental Affairs Board interlocal cooperation agreement. Item 31 will be pulled. Resolution supporting the installation of public art at select bus shelters and associated encroachment agreement with the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Item 32, the contract amendment number 1 for FY 2022 through 23 city services and programs for the Downtown Durham Municipal Service District between the City of Durham and Downtown Durham, Inc. Item 33, 2022 first quarter crime report.
I have it, ma'am. That's going to be pulled, Madam Mayor, if I remember. We got you.
Item 38, retain criminal penalty for violation of Durham City Code Section 26 through 23, noise. That will conclude our consent agenda, but I will read the rest of the agenda into the record. The general business agenda, 21, Item 21, award of construction contract to Owens Roofing, Inc. for roof repair and replacements at various Department of Water Management buildings. The general business agenda, public hearings, item 34, and we have several speakers signed up for this, so this item will be pulled. The public hearing for the city manager's proposed fiscal year 2022 through 23 budget and fiscal year 2023 through 28 capital improvement CIP plan. Item 35, 509 Sharon Road, consolidated annexation. Item 36, Highgate commercial zoning map change. Item 37, the public hearing and proposed economic development incentive agreement with Green Solutions LLC. Did I miss anything, Mayor Pro Tem?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I think you got everything.
All right. At this time, we will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those named items that will be pulled.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
All right, it has been moved by Councilman Williams and seconded by Councilwoman Johnson. We will have to give a hand, a holding up of a hand as a sign of aye. Our clickers are not working tonight, so all of those are in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All of those opposed will have the same. Seeing none, it passes unanimously. All right. Let's go back. All right, we will next move to our general business agenda. And the first item on that will be item 21, which is the award of a construction contract to Owens Roofing, Inc. for roof repair and replacement at various Department of Water Management buildings. Am I correct? No. All right, here we go.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
Pro Tem, members of council, and also to all the residents that are here tonight and online. Don Grilly with the Department of Water Management. The contract before you is a construction contract for the award of the repair and replacement of various roofs at the Department of Water Management facilities at both our wastewater plants and our water plants. With us tonight is Bert Owens, who's the president of Owens Roofing Incorporated. If you will recall, Mr. Owens' technology wasn't quite working during the work session, so Mr. Owens is here to answer any questions as well as myself. So, Mr. Owens, if you could please come to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Owens. Would you mind just stating your name and address for the record, please?
Bert Owens, business address, okay?
That's fine.
1200 Short Journey Road, Smithfield, North Carolina.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I actually was the one who pulled the item at the work session because I had a couple of questions. I know we had some difficulties and challenges with the technology, so thank you for your willingness to be here in person tonight. I wanted to ask, and my questions really were about some of the work demographics of your company. I was looking at your inclusion report. First of all, how old is your company?
1986.
1986. All right. Do you have any black people at all that work for your company?
Presently, we don't. It's definitely not always been that way. It's been in transition over the years. In the 90s, we had a predominantly black workforce, and they've gradually aged out. And again, going into the 2000s, they started retiring some of them, and we weren't getting like younger black men or women to come in and seek the jobs. And whenever we go on LinkedIn or Indeed or things like that, we don't get respondents, really. We get very few respondents. Most of our people are word of mouth, And over the years, they've transitioned to primarily Latino workers. We had a lady helping us in the sheet metal shop when COVID hit, and she was very good. But then when her kids, she had 2 kids, when they had to stay home, she lost her daycare, and then she had to stay home with them. And another lady was our office manager, black woman. She had moved here from California, and she worked for us for 4 years, doing a very good job. But her husband got an opportunity back in California again, and they moved back there. So we were left without her. But
And thank you. And let me be clear about my line of questioning. I'm not in any way suggesting that the company doesn't have the wherewithal to do the work and do it in an excellent fashion. And if you were at the work session, this is not an unfamiliar line of questioning that we engage in at our work sessions. One of the values here in Durham is equity and diversity in workforces, and we're very interested in spending money with folk who demonstrate a commitment to that value as well. You mentioned that it's folk don't respond when you go to LinkedIn. I'm curious, when your workforce was predominantly black, before it changed to Latino, mainly, how did you get that workforce?
you know, before I started this business, I worked for another roofing contractor in the eastern part of the state. And my first crew I worked on, there were 9 people, 8 black and me. Then we transitioned to, I went to a different crew, and then that crew stayed together, and I was on a crew with 3 or 4 black guys and 5 white guys, and we worked together. So when I started business myself, a couple of those guys were interested in coming with me, and that worked out. And then actually a competitor in Raleigh went out of business, and he had crews that at the time in the early 90s were mostly all African American. And just, I don't know how they knew about me, but they came to my office one day, and I said, yeah, I can definitely put you to work, you know. And they, like, I think the mayor mentioned W.G. Pearson. In the 90s, we put a roof on Pearson with an all African American crew, you know. And we've done, and over the years, it's like, recently, for example, we had 3 really good young black men that came to work for us, and they worked on a crew for a while, but they were in their 20s, and I don't think that's what they were really looking for, you know, to be out in the sun and do that kind of work for the term of their life. I think they were more like, it was more like an interim position for them. I would love for it to have been long-term, because they were learning and progressing and everything, but they saw better things, I suppose.
All right. What type of recruitment efforts do you say? Is it just mainly word of mouth? Do you?
It is, and the online sites, like I mentioned, and I've gone to the Johnson Community College since it's nearby, and talked to the professors there that teach classes that might transition over into our sheet metal or roofing trades, okay, and they're always real positive, and they say we're putting our name out there and everything, but we've had no response so far.
Okay, final question. Project managers for white, I think males, and professional folk too. How did you find those folk?
Well, my partner and I are the professional folks. We started it, so.
That's you and your partner. Who are the 4? Yeah. What about the 4?
I didn't have to look far for that one, but the sheet metal project manager came in off the street early on in our history, and he's been here for like 30 years or whatever, you know. And the other guy, our senior project manager, we put a roof on Central Prison several years ago, and he was working for the Department of Corrections. And he had some roofing background, and for whatever reason, he wanted to leave. And he approached us, and so he's been with us quite a while. And another guy is my partner's son. So, you know, we're kind of small.
Okay, and the 4th guy?
Sir?
The 4th guy?
Okay, there's a sheet metal guy. Oh, well, my partner's the senior. He leads all the project managers. So it's
So he
Half in the Department of Corrections, his son, the sheet metal guy, and my partner, who's the outside guy, I'm more the inside guy.
So is your partner counted as one of the professionals and one of the project managers?
I think so, on that list, yeah. That's
In
because
actuality, is it though?
that's all we have. You know, I can count in my head.
All right. Thank you for taking the trip to Durham tonight. I appreciate you answering my questions.
Okay, I'm glad to do it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I yield back.
Are there any other questions from council? All right, thank you, sir. Thank you both.
Okay.
All right. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve agenda item number 21.
So move.
Second.
All right, it has been moved by Councilwoman Freeman, seconded by Councilwoman Caballero. We will now again raise our hand, your left hand, as a sign of affirmation at this time. All those in favor of raising the right hand. All of those opposed will have the same right. All left hands are raised. That vote passes unanimously. All right, we now continue on with, I believe, our general business agenda public hearing number 34, which is the public hearing for the city manager's proposed fiscal year 2022-23 budget and fiscal year 2023-28 CIP capital improvement plan. And we have Mr. John A. Lohr, who is here.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. My name is John Allora. I'm the Director of Budget and Management Services. This item is to conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding the city manager's proposed fiscal year 2022-23 budget and fiscal year 2022-28 capital improvement plan. All required public hearing commitments were fulfilled with this item and are ready for review. And I will open the floor to public comments.
All right, we have a number of folk who are here tonight. Mayor Pro Tem will be handling those persons in the order. We are going to limit our comments because we have quite a number of folk to 2 minutes each. And Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With your permission, we have folk that have signed up virtually, but I also noticed that a couple of the cards, I think some of those folk who signed up virtual are actually in chamber as well. So we will start with the list of folk that have signed up virtually, Madam Clerk. And if you hear your name and you're actually in chamber and you'd like to speak here tonight, would you just indicate that you're here when you use your name and when you hear your name, and that would help us. I'm going to begin the public hearing with the first name I see on our pre-registered virtual list, which is Larissa Seibel. And Madam Clerk, is she in a chamber? All right. Madam Clerk, do you see her in the queue? Or if you would make her hearable, please. Ms. Seibel, can you hear us?
Okay. Hello?
Good evening, Ms. Seibel. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can
Good
you hear
evening.
me?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. You're the first speaker in our public hearing. You have 2 minutes. You just state your name and address for the record, and then you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Larissa Seibel, and I live at 2410 Park Place in Durham. And I'm here on behalf of People's Alliance Housing Action Team to ask for $6 million of rent assistance to help many of the 4,000 households, which could be tens of thousands of people on the waiting list for Durham rent relief. So important to keep helping people, at least for this one time, to help these 4,000 households. And of course, there are funds with the county that they will be helping, but we need both the city and the county to help families stay in their homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Seibel. Next, we have Yalik Mejia.
Hey, you don't need to speak outside.
Madam Clerk, do you see her in the queue? Them in the queue. Yalik, can you hear me? Thank you. Yalik or Yelik Medshia? Can you hear me? All right, we'll come back. Jennifer Goss, Madam Clerk, if you see her in the queue, would you please make her hearable, unless she's in the chamber? She's not here. Oh, there's Yalik. I think it'd be good if I pulled up the.
I can hear you. Hello?
Yes, good evening. Ms. Medjia?
No, this
That's
is Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Goff.
Okay. Jennifer, good evening. Ms. Goss, you have 2 minutes.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to talk about homelessness and that I have been homeless since April 16th because I was evicted. And the reason that I got evicted was because I had no help with any rent assistance because everybody had ran out of money. So because of that, I have no place to live and am currently living in a hotel, going through all my funds. And I've tried everything I possibly can in the community to get help, but we just don't have the money in Durham and we really need it.
Ms. Goss, thank you so much for being with us tonight. You see Ms. Yellick? Ms. Yellick, can you hear me? And please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the name. Yellick Majia? Can you hear me? It appears that her mic is hot, but... All right, we'll circle back around. Dina Avila, if you... Oh, hi. Did you submit a card as well? You submitted a card as well? But you're here? Okay. Would you mind filling out, would you mind filling out a physical card, a yellow card, see the clerk, and we'll add you to the queue of folk who are here in person. Thank you. We're glad you're here. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, next I have Hugh McSherry. Oh, hey, Father, how are you? All right. Next I have Bree Davis. I see Bree Davis in the virtual queue. If you would make her hearable, please. Ms. Davis, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening, residents of Durham City Council, Mayor Pro Temp and Mayor. Just wanted to remind you all we are in a replication of history. Zora Neale Hurston came to Durham in the summer of 1939 and experienced the same things that I'm experiencing here in Durham. The exact same treatment of Durhamites that we speak of. I'd like to read an excerpt from her 1950 article, I Saw Negro Votes Peddled. Then there was the post-primary promises. They gave unthinking voters visions and made them dream dreams. One young woman worker told me with a confident smile that the day after the election, she would be driving a Cadillac. Just like that, a drab middle-aged woman told me about the groceries that she had already got and how she had been promised plenty of sheets and towels for her house, which she needed badly. She only wished that she had thought to ask for some new wool blankets too. Her next door neighbor had put in some nice new pink colored blankets and all. Still another settled woman was glowing over the promises of 2 new inner spring mattresses for her beds. She was very excited about the prospect. The wishes of many years coming true at last. Oh no, she answered my doubts. She was not going to be fooled. She had told the white woman whom she had day worked for twice a week about it and asked her to please go down to the party headquarters the day after the election and pick out 2 mattresses for her and have them delivered right away. This voting for what you could get was making me feel sick and sad. The right to vote, to express the will of the individual in affairs of the community, the Commonwealth, and the nation was nowhere to be found in this general talk that was going on all around me. Mayor Elaine O'Neill, you speak about kindness, and this is what I say to that. You cannot continue the level of arrogance.
Ms. Davis,
and
thank you. That's your 2 minutes. We appreciate you tonight. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next I have is Marie Hill Faison. If you would make her hearable.
Hello?
Good evening, Ms. Faison. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, everybody.
Hello, welcome. You have 2 minutes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. My name is Marie Hill Faison, and I am speaking in behalf of the people in Durham that are facing evictions. And my personal experience with eviction, I know, is very traumatizing and affects the whole family and the head of the household. So I just would like to thank you for your continued support for people that are facing eviction, and to know that that's the right thing to do to help these housing insecure people, because you know, being in that position is like having one foot on a banana peel. So, you know, it's very, you're balancing a lot of things at one time. And so we want to help people and show that kindness and send that love. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Faison. We appreciate you being with us. Next, I have Angela Vick Lewis. Madam Clerk, do you see her in the queue? I don't.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I do not see her in the queue.
Very well. We'll move on to Rita McDaniel.
Yes.
You don't see her either? Okay. Good evening, Ms. McDaniel. Can you hear me? Like her mic isn't hot. There.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Welcome. Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Okay. I have a dream that every man, woman, and child will have affordable housing to live in neighborhoods that are safe, where people do not have to choose between medication, gas, and other daily life needs. But, oh, I'm not living in a dream. I'm living in reality where there are not enough affordable housing, where people have to choose between the things that I mentioned earlier. I am asking City Council if you all would approve the $6 million that is needed to help families who apply for funding to stay in their homes. It costs the city much more to help them than to stay in their homes, than to start the process over again. It tears families apart, causing depression. I would also ask that the City Council would really look into ban the box on rental applications. I talk to people every day who are working 40-hour jobs and still cannot find affordable housing. There are families that consist of a father who shares visitation rights with the mother, married couples who can't afford housing because of their income level, people who have changed their lives around from the past and always continue to follow them. Give these people a chance. We need affordable housing. I live in south side of Durham, where gentrification has risen the price of living. I stay in a self-help apartment, but there has been 4 shootings at the corner store. I have no place to move to. I live on a fixed income. I'm asking that City Council would reach out and provide more affordable housings, or the money so that we can have more affordable housings without all the stipulations, and give people chances. Thank you.
Ms. McDaniel, thank you so much for being with us. Next, I have Jen Eisenman.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much. My name is Jen Eisenman.
Thank
I
you. You have
live
2
in
minutes,
Durham.
ma'am.
Thank you. So I live in Durham. I am with the People's Alliance, and I am asking, I'm advocating for $6 million of the budget to go towards rent relief. There are many reasons why. The one I'm personally going to talk about is there are 4,000 households currently applied for rental relief, but all of that money is gone and they are being evicted as we speak. And they are able to appeal, but one of the conditions is that they must pay rent during this appeal process, which can take 1 to 2 months. If they can get the help that they need, most households that get assistance within these 1 to 2 months and are able to have the time to get legal aid, have positive outcomes, and many are able to stay in their homes, or they have time to find other places to live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eisenman. We appreciate you. Next, I have Mr. Warren Langley.
Good evening, Madam Mayor O'Neill, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
Good evening, Mr. Langley. You have 2 minutes.
And Madam City Manager Page. I come before you tonight because we are in a crisis. And that crisis are our boys and young men of color. And I've heard each one of you, as well as members of our community, make statements about the ongoing gun violence, the low academic proficiency, the college and career readiness, the short and long-term suspensions of our boys and young men. But the question before us is, what are we going to do? The budget is a moral document that reflects the values of our community, and I don't see boys and young men of color represented in this budget. And we can change that by investing $1 million to come up with a plan and strategy for how we're going to improve life outcomes for boys and young men of color in our community. They deserve an opportunity to receive educational advice and support in order to navigate, to equip themselves with better information, access to work-based learning, and effective guidance to make thoughtful and informed decisions about steps toward a rewarding career. We have to manifest our verbal commitments with actionable, tangible commitments in terms of how we spend our tax dollars and what we invest in. We can change the trajectory of boys and young men in this community. The economic landscape, as Mayor Pro Tem Middleton made the statement on Meta this afternoon, we know what's coming. But the question is, are we prepared? Are we making the right investments? So my request tonight for council is twofold. One, I thank the manager for including a $400,000 investment in the Durham Youth Work Program, and I'm asking the council to up that to $1 million because this summer we were not able to serve every student that applied for that program. And second,
Mr. Langley, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Next, I have John Talmadge. Madam Clerk, if you would make him hearable. Mr. Talmadge, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good evening. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm John Talmadge. I live at 910 Virgie Street here in Durham, and I'm here tonight as the Executive Director of Bike Durham. I want to express our enthusiastic support for many items in the manager's proposed budget that would increase staff capacity to deliver sidewalk, bicycle facility, and transit projects more quickly, including the increases in staff salaries, which hopefully will end up retaining employees longer and attracting employees to the vacant positions. And also appreciate the inclusion of about $6.2 million in new local spending on sidewalks, trails, bicycle facilities, safer crossings, restriping of streets. And appreciate the scoring method that includes racial equity more explicitly in arriving at those priorities. I do want to call attention to one concern we have, which is that three of the positions in the transit department needed to deliver on many of the transit related projects relied on funding from the transit tax, and our understanding is at this point there is not agreement by the other parties that get to vote on the transit tax to include that funding. And we just urge the city and the council to play a collaborative and active role in negotiating with county commissioners. We made a similar request to the county commissioners this morning as they considered these transit projects. As residents, we're paying the same taxes, whether they go to the city or they go to the county. And what matters to us is not which pocket that the money comes out of.
Mr. Thomas, thank you so much for your comments this evening. Next, we'll have Meredith Wilkinson. I do see her in the queue. Good evening, Ms. Wilkinson. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes. Ms. Wilkinson?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. The floor is yours. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Meredith. I'm actually a new resident here in Durham. I've only been here for a few weeks. So thank you for the time. I am here because after being here just for a few weeks, I've learned and been disheartened to hear about some proposed funds in the budget for a pilot program for technology called ShotSpotter here in Durham. And from what I have read and heard and actually experienced, having lived in a city where this technology was implemented in Chicago, I know that this technology is ineffective and actually causes more harm than good. And so I am here this evening to ask that the funds not be allocated for this program and be put to something that can actually make our communities safer and healthier. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wilkinson, for being with us tonight. Next, Quaid Gallagher.
Hi, can you hear me?
Good evening, sir. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Quaid Gallagher, and I'm speaking out against ShotSpotter coming to Durham. ShotSpotter is a bad faith actor looking to profit off of our worst fears and prejudices. They lived in Chicago, which also has ShotSpotter. I can tell you that it does not work, does not make us safer. It causes irreparable harm to communities, especially communities of color, where they're mostly placed. I argued with my alderman in Chicago against this technology, but once it is in, it is very difficult to get rid of, and people use it for their re-election campaigns. I urge City Council to reject creating a surveillance state with ShotSpotter and reject the lies and profiteering that they cause using fear and pain. I urge you to put that money towards affordable housing and other initiatives that lift people up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, so much for being with us this evening. Manju Rajendran, I think I saw hey, did you fill out a card? Did you fill out a card? Okay, we'll get, when we come to the folks physically in the chamber. Thank you for being with us. Hunter King.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Hunter King is not in the queue.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, can we try, is Yalik still in the queue?
No, sir.
Okay. If they should come back, if you would alert me. All right, friends, at this time, we're going to turn to the folk who are here with us in your chamber. We're very glad to have you with us tonight for this very important public hearing on the budget. I'm going to call 5 names at a time, and if you would, just give yourself some space and line up along the railing so you can approach the podium. We ask that you would state your name and your address for the record, and then you will have 2 minutes. And I'm very pleased to welcome to the podium the first 5 speakers: Gwen Silver, James Chavis, Raquel Baptiste, Waldo Finner.
Yes.
And I'll do, I'm sorry, Erin Bueno as well. Good evening. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening. Gwen Silver, 302 Sapphire Drive. I actually signed up to speak on consent item number 26, which is still part of the capital improvement project. It's the budget amendment to close out the 21-22 capital improvement project. But specifically, I want ordinance number 15820, which you did pull, but that funding is for the Hoover Road Athletic Park. So last week we learned that that park is going to be renamed Merrick Moore, and we don't have a problem with that, but we want the money that's appropriated for the Hoover Road Athletic Park to be moved over to the other side of the park to be used to renovate wheels, do whatever is necessary to get that facility open. And I think according to the proposal, it's $12,769. We've talked to members in the community. They want the park, that part of the park to be open and to be operating this summer. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Ms. Silver. Mr. Chavis, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Good afternoon. I, too, like to say thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for once I came in here to discuss, and you finally said something that all of us that's been working out in the streets has been saying. We are tired of seeing our taxpayer money being wasted with no substance. And you made that very clear for us to understand the wastefulness of our taxpayer money. So I want you to understand, and all others, Hoover Road Park was not the first name that was asked. It was asked for Moore Park, and it was denied. And now the sign, Hoover Road Park, has been taken down so that Moore Park can be put up. That's to split our community workers, because they asked first for that park to be named Merckmore, and they did not get it. So I'm asking you all, why y'all think about giving them some more money on that side, and we out here asking for the other side? Think how we feel that's been working on both sides, and our rights has been taken away. Wade has refused to give us our rights on both properties. He refused to listen to the people of the community, and now he's trying to display to you all his part of it. But I tell you what, I know it all, and I've been here from the beginning. Wade needs to be removed, to be understood, so y'all can see who is really needs to be heard. The community people are being denied.
Thank you, Mr. Chavis. Raquel Baptiste. All right. Mr. Waldo Fenner.
Tori, nobody talking to you. My name is Waldo Fenner. I live at 1119 Clarendon Street. I had a whole list of things to say, but since you all cut down to 2 minutes, from 3 to 2 minutes, I'm gonna make it real short and sweet. You can't tax your way out of this. What I say to you guys is go back to Go Triangle and find that $168 million that they misappropriated. They said 157, but it's 168, okay? You gave $21 million to Durham Housing Authority. They didn't spend all that money putting folks in a hotel. Where's that money at? You gave $500,000 to legal aid to fight evictions. What did they win? That money should have went to the homeowners or the landlords to come get that money, okay? Now you want to spend $1 million for a shock detector. It can't arrest nobody. It can't say stop, hold, freeze, none of those things. Same ones who called you for everything else. Shots been fired, it's sufficient. Cops don't get no faster or anything else. When I call them to come to my house, they go to the white woman first, or they come and ask me to show them my deed. So you need to clean up your police department on that component of it. Second of all, is that instead of you all wanting to spend all this money on a $31 million swimming pool, how about you take that money and say to the senior citizen who are on fixed income, who owns a home, we're gonna put solar panels on your house so you don't have to pay no light bill for the rest while you're staying there. That saves you money and brings back to the community as well. There's a bike track. A swimming pool doesn't do anything for you at all. You got all these guys running down the street with the bikes, nowhere to go. You won't do anything about that, but you want to put them in jail. But you want to arrest your own police department for doing that crooked behavior. Okay? And everybody knows what I'm talking about. I can call names if you want me to, but I'm not going to do that. Ms. Modell said be kind, but you all haven't been kind to us. I didn't vote for you. I didn't vote for it. Don't clap for me because you're just as guilty as they are. Because you voted for this.
Mr. Fenner, thank you so much, sir. Is Rachel Baptist here? I have a card. I want to give you your opportunity if you're in the chamber. Aaron Bueno. Good evening, welcome. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you for having me here. My name is Erin. I live in 1111 Georgia Avenue. I'm here to save wheels. So it is my understanding that currently there is no commitment to saving the facility that was formerly known as Wheels, and I think that is a mistake. I know personally I have found community at Wheels through Bull City Roller Derby. That's who I'm representing right now. And I think we are making a mistake by not listening to the community and saying that this is something that we need. Yeah, I guess for me, like, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the community that I found through Bull City Roller Derby. I know that, like, personally, I am affected by MDD, which is major depressive disorder. And in 2018, when I started skating, part of the reason why I'm still here is because of, like, the community that I found through Bull City. So I don't know. I think it's important to recognize the mental health benefits of having a facility like Wheels, allowing people to transmute, you know, these feelings into something more productive through skating and community. So I think if there's an opportunity to make a commitment financially to save this facility, that should be prioritized. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm going to call 5 more names and ask if those residents would line up along the side. Sheila Huggins, Robert Oler, Libby Weimer, Emma Roshan, Kaylin Tuskayama, Huggins, thank you. Good evening. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sheila Huggins. I reside at 2408 Tampa Avenue here in Durham. I'm co-chair of the Friends of Durham. I stand before you tonight representing the Friends of Durham to ask you to vote in support of funding for ShotSpotter as a supplemental emergency response tool for those who are first called to aid, for those who show up to investigate, and in some cases for those who might serve to bring comfort to residents in our community. Now, no tool is perfect, but we ask that you take the time to see whether this is a tool that would work for Durham. Implement the pilot program here, analyze the resulting data, and then make a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huggins, for being with us. Robert Oler, welcome. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Hello, thank you for your time. Name's Robert Oler. I live at 1401 Gunter Street in Durham. I'm here to talk about the Splash and Play project and Wheels Skate Park. Similar to some people have already talked here, I believe that Wheels Skate Park has been a really just wonderful part of our community as a resource for a place of gathering for just place for activities of people of all different socioeconomic background, racial background. I am with Bull City Roller Derby, and I know that when we were able to have the first home bout for our league, it brought out a group of over 200 people from the Durham community, an outpouring of support that I haven't seen at many other events, honestly, and it was beautiful to have that many Durhamites out to have such a good time and kind of hang out and enjoy each other's company. I believe that we shouldn't be, while I'm open to the concept and love the idea of bringing new forms of recreation and just having a new gem in Durham City, like a water park or whatever the splash and play project is going to be. I don't think it should be at the expense of an already firmly established community gathering place. So I think that if we could, having some funds allocated towards the maintenance and continued operation of Wheels Skate Park in some form or way would be the best way to go forward with that. And that's about it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Oler, for being with us. Libby Weimer.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Libby Weimer, and I live at 3808 Hillgren Drive. I'm here first to speak in support of allocating funds and to include saving the rink in the redevelopment project on Hoover Road. I believe that the rink is compatible with also having other facilities, and I think the rink is just a magical, incredible place. I'll share my memories of being at a place that truly represents the diversity of Durham, bringing together people across race, across socioeconomic status, old people, young people, and especially a place that serves many young people in our city. And it's bringing people together in the pure joy of gliding across a beautiful, slick wooden floor. There's nothing like it. It's a really incredible, unique place, and the city has an opportunity to preserve this place for future generations. I've been a part of Bull City Roller Derby since 2016 and was a founding member of this organization. And I also just want to speak to the fact that we've been a partner to the city in our home bout that Robbie mentioned, also being a partner at the Hill Center. We need Wheels to continue to operate as a roller derby league because we need to have a space that is actually large enough to lay a track and play the sport that we love to play, and to have events for the city like we had in 2019. So please plan for the future of Wheels and the redevelopment of this park. I'd also like to add, with the remaining time that I have, I'd like to speak against having ShotSpotter in our city. I think there's other ways we can allocate our money that would invest in our people and actually keep people safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weimer, so much. Emma Roshan, good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the members of the City Council and the Mayor for having us and listening to us here today. I am also here speaking about the Splash and Play facility being developed at the Hoover Road project, formerly known as Wheels, as another founding member of Bull City Roller Derby, having been with the group since 2016. There's nothing like that facility for this community. A pool is a wonderful way for young folks to have a place to go, but it will be closed for some part of the year. So I would love to see that the city allocate funds to keep the skating rink as part of that facility, both for the enrichment of young folks as well as folks like myself who truly need that space in order to continue to operate as Bull City Roller Derby. So many rinks across the United States have closed during the pandemic because of lack of funds and lack of attendance, because we were not allowed to be indoors. So all of that information should tell you just how much we need this now that we're able to sort of be with each other again. While those rinks have closed, so many folks have also bought roller skates because that was just one of the other ways in which we could enjoy our time while in isolation from each other. And now as we sort of emerge from our pandemic with better resources to keep each other safe, we need facilities like that to continue to practice this way. I was actually encouraged to hear that the city had purchased the facility as opposed to just letting it go, for hope that it would bring greater access to the community for folks to skate there. And to hear that there's not a plan in the future that it necessarily will be maintained hurts me as a community member. And I would love to see that the city consider that we can have both a fun pool facility, an aquatic facility, as well as a skating facility. The space is already there. It takes more energy to destroy than to maintain, and I'd love to see it continue. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Kaylin Tuskayama.
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kaylin Tsukayama. I live at 1401 Gunter Street in Durham, and I am here to speak on keeping the skate rink at wheels. Unlike an aquatic center, the skate rink provides a year-round activity for community members as it is an indoor facility. This also means that it provides employment year-round. It is also already equipped with skates and a concession stand, and as Emma mentioned, the costs to maintain are definitely lower than to destroy. Additionally, the skating rink at Wheels Fun Park has been the site of many successful events, including the 2019 Bull City Roller Derby Premier Home Bout, which hosted more than 300 audience members from around the Triangle. This means that it also pulled funds from people around the Triangle. The skate rink at Wheels is a Durham institution. Shutting it down would force folks who live in Durham to go elsewhere to skate and thus draw funds away from Durham. The only other indoor skate in the rink the only other indoor skate rink in the Triangle is in Raleigh. We have a unique opportunity to save the skate culture in Durham and draw audiences and funds from elsewhere in North Carolina if we keep the Wheels Fun Park skate rink open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tukayama. Thank you so much. Forgive me on the name faux pas. The next 5, Jesse Gibson, Victoria Peterson, Donald Quick, Michael Reynolds, William Speed Jr. And Keisha Barnett as well, if you would join the queue. Mr. Gibson, good evening, sir. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. I suggest that the council encourage city administration and Department of Recreation include in its renovation of the Wheels facility health and safety features that require children, youth, and young adults and parents to have full COVID vaccinations. Boosters are now available for 5 to 11-year-old under crime prevention, patrol and surveillance measure by Durham Police and Sheriff's Department for both ends of Hoover and Sutherland Road during hours of operation, metal detectors for entrance into the facility, separate daily hours of operation for children, youth, and young adults adjusted by seasonal changes, and opening and closing of public schools and holidays, affordability, recruit and encourage the Chamber of Commerce, businesses, nonprofits to sponsor financial vouchers to pay for entrance fees for children and youth from low-income families, advertise and encourage multicultural participation by all ethnic, social, and religious groups, and to include the establishment of a citizen advisory council. If we include some of all of these measures, I believe it will attract all races and income groups. We must use these facilities in ways that help to deter crime, overcome boredom, and save our most vulnerable children and youth from prison, school dropout, and the grave. Thank you.
Mr. Gibson, thank you, sir. Mrs. Peterson, good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Yes. Ms. Mayor, and to all those here in the City Council, over the years, when we have meetings, the agenda, the programs, the different funding is always left over there in 2 books. Now, we're talking about giving various organizations monies. We have not seen that on the website. I would like to just share with the mayor, Miss Mayor, you're new. We have staff that knows how things should also be done here. Those reports, I would like to know how much money we're going to be giving to the homosexual community. Because a few years ago, they was also getting monies. I think you folks call them LGB, but they are homosexuals. They are breaking the law. They are ungodly, and I know, Miss Mayor, you want us to love everybody. Yes, We will love everybody, but we cannot embrace sin. And the practice of homosexuality is sin to compare to what the Word of God says. I have 2 minutes to speak. I would like to see that monies going to the police department, because we have all this crime and murdering going on in the African American community. And we want to give monies to an organization that the state government and Ms. Mayor, you are a judge.
Excuse me, Mr. Spears.
You know the law.
Mr. Spears, suspend for a second. We'll give you your time. There'll be order in the chamber, please.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Because this is called freedom of speech. You can love people, but you don't have to love their sin. Just like if there's a young lady out here involved in prostitution, I try to talk to them and encourage them. Yes, we love them, but we don't want them selling their bodies.
Add 5 seconds, please.
We don't want them selling their bodies. So, Ms. Mayor and all other city council members, please stop trying to get this city to embrace homosexuality. We know they're here.
Thank you. That's your time. That's your time, Mrs. Peterson. Thank you.
We do not want to embrace this.
Peterson, thank you. That's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Donald Quick. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Good evening to all. Our union, my name is Donald Quick. My address is 3415 Freeman Road in Durham, North Carolina. On behalf of our union, UE 150, we're proud, to be here, but this spot shotter thing that's going on, I don't know too much about it, but I know it hasn't worked in other cities, but whatever decision be made, then that's something we got to live with. But what I do know is me and my coworkers, we have been shot at, doing our job for the city. And other of my coworkers have been held up, So, I mean, if we really want to put some money into something, let's put some money into protecting, the city workers and people out here going about there every day. I mean, through the pandemic and all that type of stuff. So, like I say, I don't know enough about the technology of it, but from my understanding, it didn't work in other cities. So, if it didn't work there, and the cities are bigger than ours, so I'm kind of saying, well, it's probably not going to work here. I think we can allocate that money, put it somewhere to try to help some of these youth, talk to them and, start a program that'll help the youth, because I had a friend of mine, he got killed standing at the bus stop waiting. He was waiting to catch the bus, minding his business. We grew up together. We ate at each other's house. Our mothers knew each other. And I had to go attend a homegoing like that, just waiting on the bus. So, my thing to y'all is, whatever decision y'all make, like I say, we got to live with it. But I pray that y'all would take that money and do something with it that will help our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. Thank you, Mr. Quick. Mr. Michael Reynolds. Good evening, sir. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank y'all for having us to speak freely. My name is Michael Reynolds. I'm a city employee at General Services in Maplewood and Beechwood Cemetery, and also a member of the Durham City Workers Union, UE Local 150. I stay near Clayton High School because of things so crazy now I wouldn't want to get my address out. We work hard, all city workers work hard during the pandemic to keep the city running still now. A lot of us have been working nonstop through it, haven't been home at all. 6-7 days a week. With inflation being over 8%, anything less than that is a pay cut for us. Right now, the city manager is supporting the union's proposal for a 4% step pay increase. We thank you for that. However, the market adjustment is only 3% when it needs to be at least 8%. The 7% increase is a pay cut for us and will only add more stress to our lives and our families. Also, many of our general employee departments are still losing staff, and we know the city saved millions of dollars from vacant positions, and all that we got was more work. Instead of paying us for recognizing this work, the city decided to give $4 million in mid-year raises to the police and fire, while we got nothing. How do you think we feel about that? Lastly, police, our union is proud to be here tonight with the Durham Beyond Police and Friends to oppose the city spend almost $200,000 on the Shot Spotter program this year. We know that there is a gun problem in our society and in our city. However, in the city, other cities that were tried Shot Spotters and it hasn't worked. It only wasted money and led to more black and brown people like us, city workers, and other people getting arrested. The money could be better used to invest in the city workers and our community needs, like more mental health responders to 911 calls rather than the armed police. And I want to speak on the Shot Spotter because I have been doing a little bit of investigation myself, like somebody said in Chicago. They have been getting more daily, 60 falsely alarms daily with the Shot Spotter. That can't say, well, we need more boots on the ground, more people in the neighborhood that we call hoods. And instead of sitting in the car beside each other every day when you go to the gas station or go to a vacant parking lot, they need to be out and about.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you, sir, for being with us. William Speed Jr. Good evening, sir. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes. And then Keisha Barnett.
Hey, how you doing? My name is William Speed Jr. I'm a Durham resident and a city employee also. Born and raised here, grew up here, and love to serve my city, working through this pandemic. And I'm just going to speak on the employees that are being charged and for not uploading a COVID-19 vaccine card by December 31st, 2021. We in this thing together. We're here, you know, everybody's here, you know, wearing masks, and we go to the store, we see each other out in public, and, you know, we're still fighting this thing together, trying to get through this thing. So should not one group be penalized for not complying with those actions? It's just not right. Because, you know, having a vaccine, being boosted or whatever the case may be, is a right for the person themselves, but we need, it's a right for themselves. So therefore, we just need a more concrete health plan where with the numbers and ratings going up, maybe having masks shouldn't be to the discretion of the person. Maybe it should just be mandated, and we should just have to deal with it, get these numbers down for us so we could get through this. It's in the same category of being vaccinated or not, or as smoking a cigarette. So therefore, if you're going to charge someone for not uploading a COVID-19 vaccine card, you should charge a cigarette smoker because it affects other people in different other ways, the same way that you feel that people are not vaccinated or spreading this virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Speed, for being with us. Ms. Barnett, good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Keisha Barnett. I'm a Durham resident, employee of the City of Durham, and member of the Durham City Workers Union. During the past 27 months of the pandemic, city employees have been negatively impacted in ways that no one could have ever predicted. Collectively, we have endured while grasping for hope for relief from the mental anguish caused by contracting the virus, watching family and friends die from the virus, the financial burden that the pandemic has caused us as individuals, as heads of households, as single parents, as children caring for elderly parents, as disabled employees, as struggling two-parent households, as members of intergenerational households, and as essential workers. The disproportionate impact of the constant stress, safety concerns in and out of the workplace, the increased cost of gas, food, medicine, basic life necessities, medical bills, additional child care, dependent care costs, increased housing costs, and the additional cost burden of the PPP have been tremendous. It is important for this body to consider the relief that it can provide and the positive, equitable impact it can make in the lives of all city employees while considering this year's budget. Each year, the City Workers Union proposed funding recommendations during the budget process. This year, we made 4 recommendations to the city manager, and they were to fully fund the general step pay plan, provide an 8% market increase to account for the 8% inflation rate, provide a 10% hazard premium pay for designated essential personnel, and reallocate unspent funds from the police department budget for city fund workers to fund city workers and community safety and wellness needs. We appreciate the city manager's commitment to fund the general step plan as adopted in 2019. However, the inflation rate currently at 8%, the proposed market rate increase will not afford the city employees the income necessary to keep up with the cost of living in Durham, nor will it provide the relief we so desperately need and deserve. The city's most essential employees are faced with executing their jobs in a consistent manner.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight and for your comments. Friends who are with us in the chamber here tonight, I've come across a couple of cards where you filled out the information, but you didn't put your name on it, and we want to make sure that everybody has opportunity who wishes to speak tonight. So if you do not hear your name called, it may and you filled a card out, it may very well be that you omitted putting your name on the card. So at the end, we will do an all call again for anyone who has not spoken, since this is a public hearing, who wishes to speak. And if you do not hear your name and you filled out a card, please just indicate. You might be one of those folk. All right, Naria Ewell. Stella Adams. Aspen Unwin. Melanie Unwin. And Danette Wilkins. If you folk would kindly just queue up on the side rail. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nana Ewell. I'm a Durham resident of the Duke Park neighborhood and a macro social worker. I'm here to speak against the proposed ShotSpotter surveillance pilot and to express support for alternative investments brought by other community members. I want to focus first on responding to a few comments made by council members related to the ShotSpotter pilot. If there was an overwhelming amount of data showing that unarmed crisis responders and investments in preventative measures of safety and care were ineffective at increasing community safety, Durham would not have codified an entire department for it just because it's a good idea. I think we should be clear about that. It is not contradictory to highlight differences between proposals for things like unarmed crisis responders, increased mental health and wellness supports, rental assistance, and worker justice initiatives, ideas which came out of proposals and efforts packed with an overwhelming amount of research and data proving their effectiveness versus surveillance technology backed not only by shoddy but insufficient data around its effectiveness. As others have said, the research coming out of the majority of evaluations on ShotSpotter have shown that at best it is ineffective at what it claims to do, detect gunfire. Several reports out of cities like Chicago highlight a high number of false positives. So false alarms wasting public dollars and resources sending cops to already over-policed neighborhoods for nothing. Using the let's get the data for Durham argument for a technology that has not proven to be successful or even worthwhile in so many other cities is not acting in good faith and is dangerous to the very communities you say you are trying to support through this pilot. You keep saying ShotSpotter is not meant to reduce gun violence, and then in the same meetings, I've heard many of you argue over and over that ShotSpotter is part of a suite of options you hope will address gun violence in Durham. And I'm wondering, which is it? We deserve so much more in Durham than ineffective and potentially harmful expansions of surveillance in our communities. If we agree that we want to end gun violence in Durham, let's invest in measures of preventative safety that we know reduce it. Investing in quality public education, safe housing, rental assistance, eviction diversion and healthcare, expanding job opportunities, worker justice, which can look like meeting the demands of Durham city workers to fund the step pay plan with an adjustment for inflation, reopening the wheel skating rink so our young people have something to do.
Thank you so much for being with us
List,
this
but
evening.
lining the pockets of the ShotSpotter Corporation at our—
Thank you so much. That's your 2 minutes. Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Stella Adams. Okay. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Stella Adams. I live at 4128 Cobblestone Place in Durham, North Carolina. I am speaking as a citizen, and I want to say that I generally support the city manager's budget. I think it's greatly improved in terms of using a racial equity lens, and there are a number of key pieces that I think are great improvements over previous budgets, but there's a lot left to do. I want to first shout out to the employees of the city of Durham. I think that the manager put forward what at the time appeared to be an appropriate increase in pay, and but inflation is at 8%. A COLA needs to be at 8%. So I'm really at a minute? Okay, so COLA for the employees. We need public transit to be more efficient, effective, and serving the working people of our city. With gas at $5 a gallon and going up, and people making $7 an hour, it takes all day to put money in the tank. We have to do public transit first, the people of Durham first, Route 9 first, but it's every one of our public transit has got to be a priority over any other type of use of our transit tax and the long-term transit plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. Aspen Unwin. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Hello. My name is Aspen Unwin. I live in Carborough, but I have been going to the Wheels roller rink ever since I moved here in 2016. An old roller rink may seem insignificant to most people, but the community that has thrived and grown here is overwhelming. I represent all of those kids and teens who, without this rink, may grow up in the absence of the lively and loving environment that is the Wheels roller rink. By removing it, you're taking away the history and voices of those who've had fun, made friends, held parties, skated, and thrived there. But most importantly, you're taking away the 40 years of culture and family of skaters that has grown along with us as a community. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. Melanie Unwin. Good evening and welcome to you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Unwin. I am at 113 Lantern Way in Carborough. I'm here to speak to ask the City of Durham to direct some of the Hoover Road Park funds towards opening Wheels as a roller rink again. I'm a parent of children who skated at the roller rink, as well as a member of Bull City Roller Derby. Before COVID hit, we spent a lot of time at Wheels, both myself alone and with my kids at the rink. I was able to participate in roller derby there thanks to Bull City Roller Derby, and that is their home rink. We don't have a space that we're skating at right now. Bull City is welcoming to all sorts of people, and particularly I was able to participate despite it being a financial hardship. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to skate. It's an expensive sport. So I think that having a space for a group that is very inclusive is important. My 14-year-old and my 6-year-old skated there. My youngest, who's 3-year-old, is not skating yet, but she took her first steps at Wheels Roller Rink. So to say we spent a lot of time there is an understatement. It's a huge asset. I would hope that it can coexist with an aquatic center with a pool, especially since it's something that can be open all year long, can be used all year long, and can be enjoyed by families. I think it's an asset. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Danette Wilkins. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Danette Wilkins, 603 Oakwood Avenue. I'm a Black, Latina, and yes, queer resident of Cleveland Holloway, a Durham neighborhood that experienced gun violence as recently as April of this year, just a block away from my own home. I last came before you all in March to express my concerns about the proposed pilot of ShotSpotter gunshot surveillance technology with its mixed and even controversial reviews. Since then, I've met with different neighbors in Cleveland Holloway to learn more about their experiences with community and safety and well-being, including gun-related violence. And I've learned a lot. Here's some of what I've learned. I learned that Cleveland Holloway residents, some of whom have lived in the neighborhood for over 20 years, are all too familiar with gun-related violence and have become skilled at identifying and describing gun violence in our neighborhood, including location, frequency, and number of shooters. I learned that several years ago, Cleveland Holloway residents formed a neighborhood support group to identify and address issues, challenges, and opportunities, and even met with Durham Police Department officers and committed themselves to calling emergency services like 911 to inform the department of gun-related incidents and increase their awareness of issues in our neighborhood. I learned that my neighborhoods are already doing the work of ShotSpotter technology by regularly making calls to emergency services like 911 to report gunshots, both known and suspected, and channel emergency services to those who need it most in times of crisis. If real humans are already doing this work, why are nearly $200,000 of our public funding being allocated to a ShotSpotter pilot? Why the redundancy? What more can we expect ShotSpotter to do? For those on the city council and others in City of Durham government who argue that ShotSpotter is necessary because people are not calling in gunshots, let us understand why and address that particular issue. I count myself among those who try to avoid calling the police for many reasons. ShotSpotter does nothing to address a breakdown in communication between community residents and local government authorities. In fact, it threatens the critical relationship building between community residents and local government authorities by replacing humans with technology. And the reality is that people are calling in incidents. So what is happening when they do? They're met with long response times and sometimes even lack of response because emergency services are understaffed and overtaxed. Let's please find other ways to invest in Durham and not in ShotSpotter.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's your 2 minutes. Friends in the chamber, I want to thank you for your patience being with us tonight. We want to make sure we hear all of you. But we are approaching the 9 o'clock hour, and we need to take a requisite break for our closed captioners to stretch and kind of get their second wind. So, Your Honor, with your permission, I'm going to call a recess. We're right, it's 8:59. We'll say 9:09. We will reconvene. We'll take a 10-minute break. 9:09, we'll be back. We're in recess. The man? Yeah. I don't know. We're not getting rid of this.
Nothing's been decided.
I had missed that. I didn't even know about that. Yeah.
Megan, from the moment DPAC opened, it's been a hit. Everybody knows that. With great Broadway shows and musical performances, you don't have any trouble at all selling tickets. So why are you providing this kind of programming to all Durham residents? Why are you making DPAC so accessible?
Wheels was bought
Well,
by the city.
I mean,